Hi, my name is Jill Detling, and this is my favorite part of the brain, the pituitary gland. And this is my favorite because it is such a small part of the brain, but it has such a large role in so many functions. So we'll first go over the name. It is also called the hypophysis, which is Greek for lying under, and this is in relation to the location. And it can also be referred to as the master gland, and this is in reference to its function. So it's located at the base of the brain in a chamber called the sella turcica, and this is in the sphenoid bone. It is also attached to the hypothalamus through a stalk, and this stalk is called the pituitary stalk and is made up of blood vessels and nerves. So you can see in the pictures here that it's at the base of the brain and it's above the tongue. And then you can also see how tiny it is. It's actually about the size of a pea, even though it has a lot of function. So the main function is that it produces and releases hormones in order for bodily functions to be carried out, meaning this is a part of the endocrine system. And then it's also split into two different parts. So the anterior pituitary lobe is on the left, and then the posterior is on the right. So the anterior lobe releases and creates these hormones. So we'll go over these here. The first one is prolactin, and this stimulates breast milk production. The next one is the growth hormone, which stimulates growth mainly in kids, but if it does stimulate growth in adults, it's typically growth in their strength. The next one is the follicle stimulating hormone, and this stimulates sperm production in males and estrogen production in females. The next one is the thyroid stimulating hormone, which stimulates the thyroid production, and this helps regulate and control the metabolism. The next one is the luteinizing hormone, and this stimulates production of ovulation and testosterone in males, ovulation in females. And then the last one for the anterior lobe is the corticotropin hormone, and this is where adrenaline glands are stimulated to make and then release cortisol. Cortisol is referred to as the stress hormone because it can regulate stress, it regulates blood pressure and blood sugar, and then it also has several other important roles. So the posterior lobe actually doesn't create these hormones. The hypothalamus creates these last two hormones, and then the posterior lobe stores them and then releases them. So the first one is the antidiuretic hormone, and it balances water and sodium levels. And then the last one is the oxytocin hormone. And when it's released, this actually helps during childbirth by telling the uterus when to contract. And then it also assists in milk production. And then I also thought this was interesting. After the baby is born, when it's released, it can also help create a bond between the mother and baby. And then lastly, I just had something else that I wanted to share. I found that the Cleveland Clinic says that people can live without the pituitary gland. They just need to take medicine that replaces the missing hormones. And then the National Library of Medicine says it is actually a necessary part of the brain because of its multiple functions of supporting life and supporting functions in the body. So the National Library of Medicine is saying that it is extremely important, but there are rare disorders where people's pituitary glands don't create or release any hormones, and so therefore for the rest of their life they have to take medicine that replaces them. So that just goes to show how important it is in our bodies. And yes, this concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening.